All right, what is up, everyone? Thank you for joining us for another stream of mission briefing. I'm very excited about today's stream. We're going to cover a topic that is super interesting. We are going to go through how we built Apollo Odyssey. So before we get into Odyssey, what that is, first I'd like to introduce who I have with me today for this kind of AMA. I have with me Jsx Component, who is a DX engineer on the EDU team. How's it going, Jsx?
Good. How y'all doing?
Doing pretty well. Can't complain. Yeah, how you doing in chat? Let us know. Hey, Michelle, I see you in chat. Prince, what's up, everybody? Thank you, everyone, for joining us. So Janessa has been with Apollo for what, about 3 months now? Is that correct?
Like just over
Just
two.
over two. Gosh, it
Like,
feels like so much longer because you've already done so much. We are super excited to have you on the team. The amazing work that you have done is about to be presented here, and I can't wait to go through it. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us. And we also have with us, if you're used to seeing Apollo streams, you're already used to seeing their awesome face. We got Trevor Blades with us. What's up, Blades?
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, doing pretty well. What's up, chat?
Yeah.
How's it going, Xander?
Yeah.
Prince, fellow corgi party corgis in the chat.
Absolutely. So
Come on.
Yeah, everybody's
going
here.
on.
Everybody's showing up. We appreciate y'all. And for anyone who might not know, Blades is also a DX engineer. So on the education team, but the DX team at large, right? And so we're all part of the developer experience team. And for those of you who might not be familiar, the DX engineers are responsible for creating all of these awesome different properties and apps and things that we on the DX team use to help you. And so it's really awesome to have you on the stream, highlight your amazing work, and I cannot wait to show everybody what we're here for. And so I guess without further ado, let's get into that. So today we're going to do kind of a how we built Apollo Odyssey. And for those who are not familiar, Apollo Odyssey is a learning platform that uses kind of like a multi media learning experience that is also paired with a very interesting authoring experience for creating the courses that you'll see on Odyssey. Before we get into how it's made, I think it's important that let's go through first Apollo Odyssey, and we'll do a bit walkthrough of kind of what this learning platform is, how it behaves, and then we can get into the details of how it was built. Does that sound good?
Sounds great. Yeah, let's learn GraphQL.
I love it. All right, and chat, as we're going through this stuff, if you have questions, please drop them in there. We'll try to get to them as quick as we can. And yeah, let's go along for this awesome ride. All right, so I'm going to flip us over here to the desktop view so that everybody at home can see Odyssey. Cool. So here we are. We have Odyssey, and if you are not familiar, it's so beautiful, first of all. And if you're not familiar, let me drop that link in the chat. Go here, learn some GraphQL. Also, if you go through the course, I got it. This goes without saying. Provide that feedback, y'all. We live for that feedback. We want to produce the best learning experience that we can for you, and part of being able to do that is based on having your feedback. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in. So what we have here is Odyssey Learning Platform. Currently, we have Liftoff Part 1, which is a kind of like a two-part series, at least two-part series on kind of getting started with GraphQL. So part 2 is coming real soon. Stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss that. But the way that this works, if we dive into here, so we're going to go into Liftoff Part 1. I'm going to resume. I've already started this course, but here you can get your overview. So we have the course details. It's going to break down what you're going to learn along with estimated length of time to cover the content. Super awesome. And it gives you your prerequisites and a little description. And also, look, hey, Raph, we can also see the instructor and who it is we'll be learning from. So if we dive in here, boom, look at that. Here we go. So as you can see, we've got kind of our lessons here on the left side navigation. And these are the different steps that you'll take going through the course. And you're going to notice right here at the very top, we have video, right? So when we talk about multimedia, what does that really mean? Well, it means that There's different types of media or ways for you to consume this learning content. And so what we've got is we've got video up here at top. We also have written out kind of tutorials and guides to get you through this content. We've got, what is that, picture in picture, I believe this is called. So the video will follow you through your experience as you're going through. And then the last part of this multimedia you can see is we've got interactive components. So this is essentially, and also you can sign in. I don't know how much detail I should go into about like what happens when you do sign in and like what will be available in the future. Would you rather stick with like what we got now and we'll just cover like the basis of how that's built? And maybe we'll hold, let's hold off on that stuff for the end, but we will talk about like what's coming up for Odyssey at the end. And so we can see here, so which of these benefits are the benefits of Schema First design? It reduces total development time. Probably all three of these.
Pressure's on.
Yeah, pressure's on. It provides front-end applications.
Maybe,
It enables the team to work in parallel. Okay.
You can, if you don't want to guess, we can like watch the first part of this video and maybe get a sense.
Oh, we could do that. We could absolutely do that. So let's do that. I wonder if Chrome audio.
Does the audio come through?
We can. We can make that happen. Give me 1 sec to make sure that that is in fact set up.
I just think it might be nice to show the people give the people a taste of what the video content for Odyssey is like.
I could not agree more. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna pause the music real quick. A little background music just so that y'all can hear this.
Record scratch.
And
there it is.
All right, and let's see if this works. Let's get this going.
Let's see.
Yeah, I think it's coming through.
Yeah,
Y'all might not be able to hear it on
first part of our liftoff series.
Skype.
We begin our journey building a full-stack GraphQL example application, Catstronaut.
Look at the
It's a
production
learning platform
quality.
for adventurous cats
Yeah.
who want to explore the universe. The first feature we'll be building for this app
So let's
will
listen
fetch
for
a list of learning tracks from mock data on the server side
what Raph
to
might
render
say
them
about
as a card grid on our homepage. And this
love
is
this.
how it
This
will look
question.
like when we're finished. To build this feature, we will use a Schema First approach.
Ooh, Schema
That means
First.
that we'll implement it based on exactly what data our client application will need.
Michelle says we need a
Schema
Cat's
First
Wrath
design
emoji.
typically involves
We
three
do.
major
We
steps.
should add that.
Step 1, defining the schema. We want to identify which data our feature requires and then structure that data to support that feature as intuitively as possible. Step 2, backend implementation. We build out our GraphQL API using Apollo server and fetch the
so you
required
can like
data
read
from
along
whichever
with
data source contained.
basically the text on
In this
screen
first
is
course,
you can see
we will
is
be using mocked
basically
data,
a transcription
and in
of
the following
the video
courses,
script.
we'll
So
connect our app to a live REST
we
data
can
source.
read and
Finally,
watch the
step
video
3,
and listen at
front-end
the same time,
implementation.
which is
Our
really
client
nice.
consumes data from our GraphQL API to render its views. One of the benefits of Schema First design is that it reduces development time by allowing front-end and back-end teams to work simultaneously. The front-end team can start working with
So-
mocked data once the schema is defined,
With
while the back-end
this
team
this
develops
new
the
knowledge
API
that you
based on
gained,
that same schema. This is not the only way to design
you
a
should be able to
GraphQL
make
API,
make an
but we
informed
believe it's
decision
an
here.
efficient one. So
Benefits
we'll
of
use it.
Schema First design.
Yeah. So I think that it's number 1 and number 3 here. That's my guess. I think that it's these two. I don't remember hearing anything about access to all back-end data. So I'm going to submit.
All
and we'll
right.
see if I'm right. Hey, I did it.
Nice.
So awesome.
So yeah, Schema First design accelerates development by making teams more independent.
Yeah, and so real quick, I just want to jump back to the idea of multimedia, right? And so here it is like learning being reinforced, right? Through multiple avenues, right? We have the video, which can stick with us. We can listen to that as we're reading through and parsing this information. We can pick one or the other if you don't prefer video, and you have access to it. But you also have these awesome little interactive tips to kind of like help you solidify these ideas and make sure that they're actually sticking with you. Absolutely amazing learning experience. Super impressive work. And I think that kind of covers getting to know the platform. And so unless there's anything else that y'all would like to show off first, I'd kind of like to dive into the how we built this. Like, how did we get here? How did this start? What do you think? Does that sound good?
Let's get a little bit more deeper in the weeds before we pull out to the overview of how we built it and everything.
Yeah.
If we just continue through this course, I think you have one or two more tasks to do.
Yeah, let me knock these off.
If you go down to the bottom, if you scroll down to the very bottom of the page, the next button will say task remaining. So if you click that, it'll point you to the task that you have.
It will take you to it. Oh, and it highlighted it. So I see it's flashing. Look at that. That is wild.
Yeah, so that's pretty handy.
That is super
so now
handy.
that you know what task you have to complete to advance, we can do that.
Will it take you to it? Like if I uncheck this one?
Yeah, it'll scroll you up
that's
and then
super cool.
highlight it just to like draw your eyes to where on the page that your missing task is.
The attention to detail is absolutely astounding. That's like it's a little user experience piece that like can really help folks, especially, you're trying to parse through this information and you don't want to go back and hunt for things. So that's really cool. Y'all are amazing. All right.
Absolutely. It's just it's like a quality of life.
Yeah.
Change.
Absolutely.
So we can breeze through this course if we want. We've reviewed the mock-up, and what else? We are learning about the structure of the data. So which actually describes the data graph?
Hey, look at me.
Nice job.
Yeah, I'm learning GraphQL. This is amazing.
Some kind of GraphQL pro. Now we're here on the schema definition language page. And so far it's been pretty straightforward. We've completed some tasks, we've answered some multiple choice questions, and it's been mostly kind of a one-way street. We're learning information from the video and from the text. But this now we're at a part of the course where it's time to put some of our newfound skills to the test.
Love it.
So as you'll notice, as we scroll down through this lesson, we're learning about the components or the pieces of a GraphQL schema, and answering questions like what are valid field types. And here we've encountered our first code challenge. So if you actually reset that, this is what you'd see on a first run through this course. So we now have a code challenge. What does this say? It wants
a type of space cat, and it wants us to add a couple fields, mainly a name a string, which is non-nullable, age, which is an integer, and missions, which is a type of list. Type of list of missions. Yes, type list of missions. Yeah. Cool.
So why don't we? I'll let you go ahead and fulfill this code challenge. We'll see what happens. So you just made a non-nullable name, an age that is an int.
If I could just get my spelling going.
And a list of missions. Okay.
And I think that should do it, right? And boom! That's my favorite part.
Hey.
That's my favorite part. The confetti.
Nice.
Success!
Oh, cool.
So you'll notice below the code challenge, after you run it, there's like that list of tests.
Yeah.
And since all the tests passed, so they're all marked green with check marks. But if you failed something, so if you change something in your code and then rerun it, we should see a change in those tests. So now one of those tests is now red, so you know, kind of a general idea, a directed idea of where in your code you might have gone wrong.
Yeah, this is amazing. This is so cool. It's like breaking it down step by step. Hey, here's the error, because like oftentimes it'd be like, oh, that's not quite correct, please go back and try again, and you're like, what's not correct, you know? At least that's me.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the, again, attention to detail, those little user experience pieces that really make a difference when you're investing in learning, right? Like, it's hard enough to learn things, especially complicated topics, right? And which, for me, code is one of those, right? It doesn't matter what language or which way I'm doing. It's a lot to take in and parse. And it's really nice just to have such a detailed level of clarity about like where you made a mistake and what you need to go back and check. This is wild.
I think a big part of this is because of the decision to break up a single code challenge like this, which is asking you to do a really relatively simple task. You know, it's pretty well scoped. Yeah. But you'll notice, you know, there's like eight different pieces of this that are being judged independently, which is to Janessa's point, just kind of like really lets you hone in on the parts that you did right, and in some cases the parts that you did wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this also might evoke for somebody who's worked with code before, that output might evoke some memories of another common thing in software, which is testing. Like the format, the layout of those code challenge results resembles the output that you might get from running tests. Yeah.
That is.
So it's a little bit of
the familiarity.
Yeah. Like. Right? Yeah. Sharing like a common interface.
Yeah. Yeah. So clever, and again, just well thought out, right? It's just well thought out. The focus here is on building a platform that is aimed at making sure that you're understanding everything that's happening and what you're learning. So very cool.
Yeah. And also Megan E. Sully
was just about to get to that.
Asked in chat, does your team collect any analytics on the assignments and challenges, like to see where people are getting stuck? And Janessa, you just actually made a change that addresses this yesterday, I think. Do you want to answer this?
Yeah. So with our Google Analytics, with just some of the tracking that we're doing, we've been keeping tabs on if someone fails a code challenge. It sends us we get that data of that it was failed, but also like what their code was. So then that can help us kind of reevaluate, is there something that we could make clear with this description? Maybe we worded it poorly, or maybe there's something we need to clean up with how we're evaluating things, just so we can make the learning experience as least frustrating as possible, so that you can focus on just learning something new and developing that mastery and that reinforcement. You don't have to worry about like, oh, well, I didn't even know what this task was asking. So,
right.
Yeah, I guess is the short answer.
But I loved the long answer, because that got us a lot of useful information, which is really cool, because like that almost means you could envision a future where you might even be able to give hints, right? Like it's like if you commonly see the error, right? Like not only did it fail, but like, hey, we noticed that a lot of people tend to do this. Maybe this is, the cause of the issue. But it helps us evolve the course material, understand where folks are getting stuck, because it might even mean like we need to add something, right? Like maybe we're actually missing a little bit of context or something that needs to be presented. But we now have that data. It's actionable, and that's the important part.
Yeah. Do you want to do one more code challenge, and then we can move on? Just because they're fun. So this next challenge is going to be talking about descriptions, GraphQL descriptions, which are maybe for some people, even people familiar with GraphQL, you may have never written GraphQL descriptions before. So this is an interesting one.
Not long ones. So that is the part that I don't think I ever really write this type. I don't even know if I'm putting this in the right place. So we're going to find out if I can do this.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is it. I think this is where it goes. I believe it goes above the type.
What do you think, Chad? Is Kurt on the right track here? Or,
yeah, let me know. And I'm not going to scroll up and look. I want to so bad, but I'm not going to.
How are people betting on this?
Oh, we should have like a poll. Okay, so description. The space cat type represents Catstronaut. Is that?
Sounds good to me.
Catstronaut. That goes on missions in space.
Just when you think the sentence is about to end, there's like a couple extra words that get added on. Goes on missions in space alone or with other castronauts? No, just kidding.
In a group. I don't know. Oh, I should add a second line that says like to be continued. All right. Okay, so for name, the cat's name.
Okay.
Very good.
Great.
Declarative comments that if you came across, you'd be like, I'm so glad they're here. Yes, thank you, Michelle. I write the best descriptions. Okay. All right. So I think this is it. I think we're ready to run. Never mind. I take it back.
One description is so thorough, and the second description is just like 3 words.
Straight into the point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lots of variety.
It's a variety. You never know what you're going to get. Okay, here we go. Let's run this thing.
Okay.
Oh, I failed some stuff.
All right, so what?
Ooh, I didn't do the single one correct. So it looks like I got the description for the block comment done. Hey, what's up, Will? Thank you for joining us. But I didn't do it correctly for cat's name, and I'm curious to see what I did wrong. So I'm going to go back up.
Check out the
oh, look at what I did, y'all. So here we go.
In the test results, actually, if you read the last two ones here, it says
tells you read your error messages. That's the lesson for today.
Are your friend.
Yeah. So look, should have non-empty description, which of course failed because I didn't do it right. And then description should be in double quotes. And what did I do? I did like a bash command.
Yeah, like a GraphQL comment.
Yeah, exactly. So for description, it's actually different, right? Like I did a comment, and this is a description. So, but now I almost hit Command S. So now, hey, yo, the confetti every time. Oh, you're too kind, everyone. Too kind. Thank you. Thank you.
Cool. Nice job. Yeah. So that I think that's a pretty solid walkthrough. Actually, before we do jump over, sorry to make you go back, but one more piece that I'd like to show off if I could is in the Apollo Studio Explorer lesson.
Oh, yeah, let's do that real quick. Before we do that, we just had the Nova Glow jump in and ask, what is Apollo Odyssey? So for anyone who's coming in a little bit late, Apollo Odyssey is a new learning platform that's free for everyone that Apollo has released like last week. So very new. It has one course currently out with many more to come in the near future. And it is a learning platform really geared at a multimedia experience and a really cool authoring experience, which we haven't got to yet. So it's a bit different than like some of the other platforms that you might find. And that's kind of why we're here, to talk about how it's built, because not only is what it is doing for you really awesome, but the technology behind it to make this come to life is equally as awesome. And so, yeah, so we're going to get into the how, but right now we're just kind of on the like what and going through that. Okay, so let's jump into the Studio Explorer. So I'm going to jump ahead, and that's another thing too, which is like I'm not restricted to. So I'm streaming, so bear with the animation. So my CPU is currently at about like 70 to 80% because I've got screen share and Skype calls and OBS and all this other stuff. So, but yeah, so I like that you're able to kind of like choose your own adventure. Like I can move around throughout the course. I'm not forced to complete something before I can move on, which is another thing that oftentimes frustrates me with certain platforms. Okay, so here we are. We are in the Explorer lesson.
Yeah. So if you just scroll down a little bit, if you're actually taking the lesson, you'll probably want to listen to the video or read the content. But the cool part about all of this is a little bit lower. We'll see that it's talking about how to set up dev graphs and all this stuff.
Keep going.
And then keep going and going.
And going. Here we go. Is this more?
Keep going. Oh,
Did I go too far?
Oh no, maybe I sorry, I'm actually I think I'm actually mistaken. Never mind. I thought I was gonna show off a cool like embedded Studio Explorer in the course, but I think that we actually went a different direction with this one.
Got it.
Okay. Sorry guys.
Busted. All right,
my bad.
Let's flip it back over then. Cool. So if you didn't get to catch all of like what we went through and kind of the interactiveness and how you have that picture-in-picture video, you have these code challenges, you have the written tutorials, and as well as, like we said, the video content, it just kind of gives you multiple avenues to get the information to actually sink into your noggin. So really cool stuff. And so before we like dive into any code, I want to just take a second to talk about the overall architecture of the learning platform. What technologies were involved and no cats were harmed during the making of this platform, just so you know. But yeah, what technologies were involved in the making of Odyssey?
Yeah, so we built Odyssey using Gatsby, and to actually write the courses, we used MDX. So the thought process behind that was, since we're making all these courses ahead of time, we can take advantage of Gatsby since they create all the pages at build time, just kind of speed up the load times, give that better experience. And then from the authoring point of view with MDX, we can write in Markdown, which is a little bit easier to read than like writing it all in JSX, but we can still embed JSX components and elements inside of those courses. So that's where we have like the multiple choice quizzes or like the code editor challenges and things like that.
Awesome. And so what about like styling for this? Like, what CSS tools were used? And then were there any other like cool NPM packages or anything that you found super useful along the way when you were building this? Like, let's hear it. Let's hear the deets.
Ooh, cool NPM packages. Gonna have to noodle on that for a second, but are the styling solution that we went with for Odyssey is the recipient of something like most exciting open source projects of the year last year at some at I forget what tech conference that was, but Shocker UI.
Hey!
We're using Shocker UI for Odyssey. And yeah, it's worked really well. Allows us to iterate extremely fast. We can spin up a lot of code and throw away a lot of code really quickly without a second thought. So that's been really nice. We can get a lot of mileage out of their theming system, so we can make a lot of our styling decisions at the theme level and have those decisions propagate out to many components at the same time. And I think that they provide a lot of really nice sort of default components for us to common components like buttons, checkboxes, and things like that.
Those building blocks that are just going to let you focus on the product as opposed to like building out your own design system and all of that fun jazz essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And then
go ahead. Sorry.
sorry.
No, you got it.
One of Chakra UI's dependencies is Framer Motion, which for those of you that don't know, Framer Motion is a React animation library. So since we already had to install that for Chakra, we used it for some of those like page transition animations that you'll see.
I love them.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see on the stream, but check it out on your own. Those little page animations, those are all kind of bootstrapped, I guess, by Framer Motion. Just does all the heavy lifting for us.
Nice, awesome. And again, for anyone who's coming a little later, I just shared the URL to Odyssey. You can go right now, jump and lift off and follow along with us. You can check it out. So here's my next question, because like we look at this platform and it is impressive to say the least. And we look at those technologies that's behind it. And we're talking about like wanting to speed up development and work faster. So my next question is like, how long did it take you to build and release Odyssey? What was the time frame for the project?
Well, Janessa, you started about 2 months ago, you said?
Yeah, like right around Thanksgiving.
Yeah, so when Janessa joined, we had basically just kind of like barely laid the foundation for this thing. At that stage, it was just kind of beyond the proof of concept phase. I think we probably we started working on it just a few weeks before Janessa joined. At that point, we were kind of testing this theory of can we use MDX as an authoring format for a site like this, and maybe we can get into like sort of the motivations and stuff of that later. But then after Janessa joined, we like development ramped up heavily. We were like all heads down on this thing and cranked it out in basically just over a couple months, I guess.
Yeah. So is it fair to say that even from like installing Gatsby, like getting that up to done, we'll say that's even a month before Janessa started? Is that pretty accurate? Maybe a couple weeks?
I'd say
2 months?
Probably less than a month.
Less than a month. Okay. So we'll just be generous, a month. So from Thanksgiving. So basically this is like 4 months, 3.5 months to build this. It's wild.
There you go. Something like that.
That's wild.
Yeah. It's been a pretty rapid pace. But I guess like a lot of these I don't know. I mean, I think that we were able to keep scope relatively small, despite like it packs a lot of features and everything. But compared to the plans that we have for Odyssey moving forward, this does actually represent quite a scoped down percentage of the whole picture, and then like using tools like Chakra helps speed up one big chunk of development, which is layout and styling. So that was really like probably contributed some to the speed and
even I don't care what tools you're using and how scoped the MVP is. For what you have here, 3 months is still very impressive. I appreciate the humbleness, and I'm sure everyone does. But real quick, let's give y'all a huge round of applause. Super impressive work. Absolutely amazing. Just mind-boggling work that y'all have done here. And so I want to get a little bit more into, we talked about the authoring experience, and I want to save that for a second. But real quick, before we get into that, what was one of the most challenging parts of building this platform? And in my mind, I think I already have an idea of what that would be, but I'm very curious to hear from you, the engineers. What was the hardest part to get working in this and get shipped?
Janessa, you can go first. I have a feeling we're going to say the same thing.
Let y'all think for a second. And while they're thinking,
I don't really have to think. I think
I think So the first one that I can think of is with those code challenges, is getting those tests that run against the user's input code. That was a big challenge because we were trying to figure out what the best way to do it, so that like as Odyssey scales and as we add more courses, like what's like a feasible approach for that. And so that I think for me at least that was the biggest challenge.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Those code challenges were really interesting. They took like the evaluation side took many forms. If you compare like the strategy we were using at the beginning when we first implemented them to the technique we ended up using, it's totally different, and like it evolved quite a bit.
As things tend to do, right?
Yeah. So just to touch on that is a little bit more. It's actually kind of an interesting engineering challenge. First of all, like running user submitted JavaScript code in the browser, like executing it is like you hear that and like it makes a developer cringe.
Yeah, my hair on my neck is standing up.
Like sandboxing and all this stuff, and it's like a security expert's nightmare. I'm not a security expert. I want to be super clear about that. But yeah, the solution that we ended up using was actually taking advantage of Netlify functions. So this site is deployed on Netlify. Netlify gives us or offers us the ability to use serverless functions, and on Node you can run the VM module, which allows you to essentially execute code in a sandbox and inspect the results of that code running. So we take the user submitted code, send it off to a Netlify serverless function, run some checks run the code, and then run some checks against the result of running that code, and send the test results back down to the client. So that is the strategy for.
That's awesome.
For doing these.
So my next question is then, actually it's not a question, more of a comment, but like that VM module, is that native to Node? Were you using like a child process or something? Like kind of like just VM? There's a VM module that's like native to Node? Drop that link in chat if you don't mind.
I'll do it. Yeah, it is maybe a not very well known part of Node, but definitely a part of Node.
That is awesome. Very clever use case, first of all. And again, this is also what I would have assumed to be one of the most challenging, but you never know, because sometimes it's something that might look really easy, right? And then that actually turned out to be the real thing. So on the flip side of that, was there anything you thought was going to be a big challenge and then just turned out to be very easy and just like kind of just worked on the without much like refactoring or testing or trying things out?
I want to say first of all, before we answer that, shout out to Raph, our the team lead for the education team here. He's the one who came up with this idea for executing the code on the server.
Genius. Good job, Raph.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's give him a round of applause real quick.
Seriously, yeah, he's sleeping right now, but he can
play it back.
Experience the round of applause in the future.
I'll clip that out for him. I'll clip it out and send it to him.
Good. Yeah. Let's see. So the question was anything that we thought was going to be, or that we might have thought would be hard, but ended up being easy. Yeah.
Could be nothing. Everything that you thought could be hard could have been hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
No. Anything? Does anything jump out at you, Janessa? I feel like we had a lot of these moments like along the way where we were expecting like change to take a lot of time, and then it was like, oh, done. Here's a PR. I feel like that was like happened multiple times a week.
Yeah,
Like we would talk at the beginning of the week and like think about what like big features we wanted to accomplish by the end of the week, and then on Tuesday, Jsx is like, here's a PR.
Nice.
Okay.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely happened a few times. I'm trying to remember.
It's hard to look back on that on the spot, you know.
I'm looking through our old PRs.
Nice. Okay, you digging
So some of the animation stuff, some of the like those page transition things.
Oh yeah.
Didn't take as long because I had used Framer Motion for very similar kinds of animations in like my own personal project literally a month before I started at Apollo. Yeah. So then I came and I was like, oh, because I just started with it a month ago.
Nice.
So I feel like I just did all that hard work up front beforehand. So it was easy, but I had struggled with it for a while.
Yeah, well, it was easy.
I think another one that just as I'm looking through the PRs, I noticed like I remember the responsive styles was one that like I think it felt like a big task, and I remember like that I feel like that one came together so fast, and we were able to pump that out.
That's it.
Also, like these are kind of like smaller parts, or maybe like less obvious parts, but like also the sharing cards, like social sharing cards when you share on Slack or you share the link on Twitter. We have these like customized auto-generated social sharing cards, and those, like, for what we're getting, like dynamic social sharing cards that get updated every time we update a page title or something like that, for the value that we get out of that, the amount of time it took to implement was really, really short. Jess, do you want to talk a bit about how you went about doing that?
Yeah. So just in case people in the chat don't know what social cards are, it's like if you share a link on like Twitter or Facebook or somewhere, and there's like that little pop-up that's got like a picture and a description and a title or whatever. So that's what we mean when we refer to social cards. So we're using Cloudinary to kind of host some image assets, and we used Jason Langsdorff's, he wrote a little npm package, just a function, because Cloudinary has this API where you pass in all these parameters and they construct a URL based on some image asset that you have hosted with them, and then it kind of like edits it for you. So we have like this base template image, and then we can dynamically pass in, like, this is the title of the course, and this is the description, this is the image we want. And based on these parameters that we give it, Cloudinary is going to construct this URL for us that says, okay, we want the title here, we want the description here, we want the image right here, and just like takes it all out of our hands for us. And
that's awesome.
All we had to do was
I'll file that under a cool npm package. We'll take that.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Our list of cool npm packages is gonna build over time.
Absolutely.
Over the course of this stream.
So we had an awesome question from chat. So Megan Sully asked, how did you balance developing the platform and writing the curriculum? Did you do one and then the other, or both at the same time?
Great question.
Yeah. Right.
The answer is both at the same time. So Janessa and I were like basically solely focused on building the platform, and then we have Raf, who's was mostly focused on building out the curriculum. And actually, to give you the whole picture, the work on the curriculum started like
way before,
months before we ever wrote our first line of code on the platform.
Yeah.
But then the curriculum was continued to be developed as the platform was developed. But that work was done by different people. And now we have a second developer educator on the team, Michelle, who was in chat earlier and might still be hanging around in here. So now we have two engineers working on the platform, 2 educators working on curriculum. So we are
And
all steam ahead
a filmmaker
on both, and a filmmaker, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're lots of feet on the ground in both respects now.
Yeah, it's just amazing. So look at what was done with, Raph working on the content, being largely responsible for video production as well for this first course. And y'all were heads down focused on getting the initial project up and running. And now all of these pieces are in place. The team is grown and kind of set. So now it's just time to continue that on, right? Like we got more curriculum already in the works, right? So that's going to be coming down the pipeline very soon. And we're going to be working on a lot of really cool stuff. Another great thing is like when you go through here, you can give feedback on the platform. You can come discuss in Discord. We'd love to know the type of content that you're looking for, that you really need. This is also very helpful for us when we plan and decide what courses we're going to create. So definitely keep that in mind. And again, as much as this is for you, we can't do it without you. So it's, we get there together, right? So yeah, definitely get involved whenever you can with that survey and that feedback. We greatly appreciate it, y'all. Seriously. So I want to go into... Yes, I cannot wait. Yeah, you are, Michelle, I'm so excited, so pumped. So I want to switch gears a little bit. So we've talked a lot about the technology that backs it, but now I want to get into one of the big pieces that really binds this together. There's like, excuse the Lord of the Rings kind of reference there. But what is the author experience like? How did you decide on the authoring experience, right? Like what made you say, let's do MDX? Like what was the backing reasons? Aside from the technology part, right? Like Janessa already covered, hey, we don't want to write all this in like JSX or something, but we want these custom components available to us. But to use MDX for an authoring platform seems like it would affect other people, right? So what's up with that? And real quick, before you answer, what's up, Justafi? Thank you for joining us. And real quick for some follows, Lauren SR, Justafi, Megan with the follow. Thank you all very much. Jose LA, I imagine. I make the sites. All of you, thank you for joining us. We love having you. All
right. With that out of the way, what was the question again?
Sorry, the question was, why did you pick MDX as an authoring experience? Right. Being that there could be people who might author courses who might not be quite as familiar with MDX.
Yeah, good question. I'll answer it in reverse. All of the people who author courses on our team, we're also the team who works on the docs. All the docs are written in Markdown and MDX. For our team, MDX happens to be like a common language that we're familiar with working in.
Yeah.
And I think within like within the text-based Markdown, or especially among like engineer types, Markdown is pretty ubiquitous. If you've ever written a GitHub README before, it's probably been in Markdown, and it's simple enough to get people. Getting people kind of onboarded to it is relatively simple. I guess the alternative regarding like authoring formats, like one alternative that comes to mind might have been like a CMS or something, right. Or storing this content remotely and then pulling it in at build time. But this just felt way more transparent. The big benefit of having your content live in your Git repo is that it's version controlled. You can see the whole history of all the changes that happened to this document from the time it was created, and there's something really nice about that, being able to like drill down into the history of how a topic is explained in this way.
Absolutely.
So those are some of the big benefits for in the favor of MDX. And I also just mentioned that the whole concept around building out one MDX file to represent a multi-stage or multi-page website is something that we borrowed from the authors of MDX Deck, which is a popular slideshow creation tool that leverages MDX in a really similar way. Actually, like the syntax that they use is identical to the convention that we chose, which is like in MDX Deck you separate your slides by using a horizontal rule, 3 hyphens next to each other. And so we just adopted the same convention in Apollo Odyssey, and a course is one MDX file, and it's split up into lessons on these horizontal rules.
That's amazing. So the whole course we were just going through is a single MDX file.
Yeah. Do you want to actually pull it up on
let's do that
in your editor, and maybe we can kind of walk through some of the key components, JSX components, but also in general, like some of the key pieces that make up a Apollo Odyssey course.
Absolutely. So
Janessa, do you want to take Kurt through this?
Right. So at the top, we have with kind of all the metadata associated with this course. So then when with what we're doing with Gatsby at build time is we're taking all this front matter metadata about the course, and we're able to populate different pages on the site. So we have like the title, the description, who the author is. We can also flag something to restrict who has access to the course. So we're able to use Odyssey as a platform, a learning platform for the community, but also as like an onboarding platform internally, because for our authorization, we're using Apollo Studio. And so we can restrict the availability of certain courses based on what organizations you're a part of in your Apollo Studio account, which is kind of a fun thing that we have.
That's awesome. Hang on.
So we have all that.
Give me 1 second because I am getting
Kurt's Grammarly extension is
on
up.
fire, and I can't even find it. Like it's not even showing up. Is it?
I just saw it for a second. GRAM.
Is this it? No, that's not it.
MAR.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
It's right there. Yeah.
Goodbye.
There it is.
Jeez. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, I'm so sorry, Janessa. Please continue.
No, you're totally good.
Kurt, maybe you could open up one of what's a good example of an internal course, Janessa, that Kurt can open up.
We have like an internal, like an authoring course.
Yeah, authoring MDX. Want me to open that?
Sure. Yeah, go on and open that one. And there's in the front matter, there's a memberships key there. And so everyone that's a part of on line 9 there, so everyone that's a part of the Apollo GraphQL organization with their Apollo Studio account will be able to have access to this course. So if you're not part of the organization, you'll never see it. You won't be able to have access to it. So this particular course, for example, is just like here's how to write a course in Odyssey.
Got it.
So that our teammates know how to write one. If someone else Ellen, who's our like iOS, or like you Kurt, if you want to write one, it's just kind of like a guide walkthrough of how to create a course.
This is awesome.
It's kind of fun.
So let's just scroll down here a little bit, and so we can see that like it's interesting. So I'm noticing that like there's already a horizontal rule here at the top. So like I'm imagining that's saying like, hey, this is the start. But of course, oh no, that's from the front matter. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's just the front matter.
That's just the front matter. Disregard, folks.
Good point though. It's an interesting interesting point that the same token we use to separate lessons is also token used in front matter. But
yeah, but regardless, so but still, so okay, so we've got getting started, and this is cool. So YAML meta, right? And this is time. So this is where when we looked at the course preview page, we saw like the time for estimated time to complete for each lesson. So I imagine that's where that's being pulled from. And then we got here, so we see the lesson. Oh, and here we come across our first custom Jsx component.
Yeah, so with the MDX, you can pass in components that you want globally available to all of your MDX files. So you'll notice we didn't have to import that anywhere in our file. Like there's no import anywhere. So that's because we just pass that into that global MDX scope. So then all we have to do is just actually render the component itself. So it's just normal JSX syntax with any props that it takes, and you don't have to do anything else for it.
That's awesome. And so then, so when we see task and task ID, I'm guessing that this task component knows, like there's like, it's using that identifier to say, oh, I need this task. Like this is the one that correlates to that. Is that correct? Or
yeah, so when we're tracking like your progress within that lesson or within the course,
that's what that
being able
was.
to associate your response with the task ID to know,
Got
do
it.
you have any tasks left in here? Just being able to see which ones have been complete.
And so if we flip over, this is actually the representation, right? So here's the component right here. I got it. I was confusing this with like a multiple choice, but yeah, I get it now. So this is literally the what we read here is this is the string. So if we were on this course, it would actually say next to the checkbox, I have familiarized myself with Markdown syntax.
You got it.
Heck yes. Love it. And then we can see here that we have this divider. So that would be the end of lesson 1. And then we'd be moving on to lesson 2. And it looks like that's on front matter. So maybe I should go back and watch, go back and go over that lesson, because apparently I forgot how front matter works. So it's a useful lesson for myself.
Maybe
this is
yeah. Actually, just pausing a second on the YAML meta part. This was actually kind of a cool, kind of an interesting, and we do this with a few different things in Odyssey. We have sort of conventions. So for example, like this front matter heading, this is an H1 called front matter. In the page, you'll notice that if you access this, or if you look at the MDX for one of the lessons that you're on, we don't render H1s. The H1 this is like a convention that we use to define the title of a lesson.
Interesting.
So the H1 for this page would be Apollo Studio Explorer.
Got it.
Got it. And then that lesson, and so when we're rendering the page, we're rendering the page minus the first H1.
Yeah. Real quick, we got a question from chat, if that's okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to interrupt, but Megan asked, is there a benefit to putting all of the lessons in the same MDX file versus separate ones?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Blades. I believe it was more of just an organizational, like structural decision on our part. We very well could have had them as separate files, but just kind of looking ahead to more courses, and if each course has like 10 lessons to it, that quickly becomes hundreds and hundreds of files.
Oh yeah.
So if we just keep each course, all the lessons all in one file, that just drastically reduces the number of files that we'll have to have in our repo.
Yeah,
that's definitely a big component of it. Also mention like how when you're and maybe Michelle can speak to this point, but coordinating kind of the flow of a course from lesson to lesson might be easier if you're as you're authoring it, you're reading it all in one continuous stream of text and content, and then the other big part is that despite if we were to separate lessons into multiple files, there's still the question of where does the course details live, like all of the specific details about a course and its front matter that are kind of shared between all the lessons would have to live somewhere too, which isn't that big a problem, because I'm sure we could think of something, but yeah, structuring it in this format, it feels right from like controlling or keeping a consistent like flow of the lesson and reducing the number of files.
I also have to wonder if it makes like PRs and communication around the course a bit easier as well, because instead of your PR possibly having 10 or 15 files somebody has to go through, they can just read the markdown, from one file. It's like everything is enclosed. It's just scrolling up and down to figure out where you are. So I could see that being a benefit as well.
Possibly, yeah. I think the one big thing to keep in mind is that this is like our first and we don't claim to have like all the answers, or that this is the perfect solution or anything. Like this is the solution that works for us right now, but who knows, in the future this may turn out to be untenable and we have to come up with a different solution. So yeah, we're figuring this out at the same time, and Michelle just came through with an awesome answer there too. So I feel like that is awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much, Michelle. Yeah. Cool. So, I think we're starting to understand the experience here. So I have a question. Is this MDX version 2? Is this like the second version of MDX, or is this MDX 1?
I don't know. It's whatever the latest stable version is.
I believe that's 2 at this point.
Oh snap!
Yeah.
I guess we're on 2 then. I have our oh no, we're MDX 1.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
okay.
we're still on.
Oh yeah.
Well, maybe 2 is not the latest then. Maybe that's like in beta, but I could have sworn there was like a version 2 of MDX.
Okay.
Maybe I made that up in my head.
We'll look forward to it.
Yeah, maybe I made all of that up.
Look forward to it when it comes. But yeah, like even with this, like the cool thing about MDX and what we've done with MDX in this particular case is yeah, like be able to selectively render certain components depending on what type of component they are, and also like draw information from other components like these YAML meta blocks. Basically, at build time, we look through the markdown, analyze the markdown, or analyze the MDX AST, and look for code blocks that have the language YAML, and they have this special meta parameter on them.
Wow.
That's just like a custom parameter that we're specifically looking out for.
Yeah.
And whenever we encounter one, that we're able to like basically take its data, which is going to be YAML, parse it using a YAML, like a node YAML parser, and then append that to the lessons as their metadata.
That's really cool. And so, fun fact, so first of all, Prince jumped in and answered our question in the chat. MDX2 is still in beta. So
gotcha.
That's the deal with that. And then follow up, Prince also released a really awesome article about adding line highlights to your code snippets. And that was how I got introduced, like working with code blocks and like the ASTs with them and pulling metadata out. Like I was using metadata to mark like which lines to highlight and stuff. So it's so funny that I didn't actually make the connection between like that. This is essentially the same thing, just a different use case. And then with that, so that's really cool. I love to see it.
We actually do line highlighting in here too. Janessa, you implemented that
Nice.
that feature in our code blocks. I don't remember. I think you mentioned that you were inspired by something else.
Was it Chris Biscardi's?
It might have been
That's
Prince.
dope.
It was probably Prince's article. That's the one I always reference. Yeah.
I just remember I looked in several places before I found the key for.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Absolutely.
And if even if it was Chris, he was also just in the chat earlier on as well.
Yeah.
So one way or the other, the
Party Corgi Network.
The inspiration for our line highlighting is watching
right now. Yeah.
I think I got the line highlighting from Prince and the line numbers from Chris.
Got you.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yes,
I love it. All right, cool. So here's the deal. We are at 10 after, so we're really scheduled for about 20 more minutes. So I feel like, is there anything else that you really want to show off here in the authoring experience? Because otherwise, I'd like to flip this back to us and kind of talk about a little bit about the future of Odyssey and stuff like that. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, I think so. Just trying to think if there's anything else.
We can always jump back.
We talked about. Yeah. I got you. I think I'm feeling pretty satisfied with what we've covered so far.
I think so.
All right, cool. Let's flip it on over then. So here we are. Hi everyone, we're back. And so I guess I'll just rephrase that again, right? Like as an actual question, is there anything coming up that you have planned that you're very excited for, whether that's content, features that you want to add to Odyssey, just anything like that? Just, this is the time. And folks in chat, this is your last chance. If you have a question or you're thinking of something, drop it in chat now, because we're probably going to wrap up here pretty soon.
Time's ticking.
Yeah, time's ticking.
Yeah, I'll kick it off, I guess. One of the things that I'm particularly excited about with the near future of Odyssey is tighter integration with your Apollo account. So, we want to build Odyssey in a way that your course progress is tied specifically to your Apollo account when you sign in with your Apollo account or with GitHub. You get to keep all of the progress that you make in our courses, and when you log in from a different device or a different browser or something like that, all of your course completion is carried over. So that's one thing that we are just in the sort of beginning phases of building out, but I'm excited about that one.
Jumping in here with a quick question, we were talking about kind of those embeds earlier, and I know that it wasn't done for this part. Is that something that maybe is going to be coming down the pipeline? Is that still being considered, being able to embed Explorer? And for folks who don't know, actually, I'm just going to flip back over real quick to the browser and just show people what Explorer is so that they can kind of understand what we're talking about and why we would want this embedded within Liftoff. So I'm trying to get my UI to load. Oh, I'm not signed in right now. Let's sign in. Here we go. You can do it. Cool, so I'm gonna jump to my org and just pick like any old graph I've got. Oh, jam spam, let's do jam spam. And so when we talk about Explorer, what we're talking about is, you can't reach it right now. Hopefully this still loads. Yes, here we go. Aha, nice. So Explorer is like a really feature-rich GraphQL IDE. So like, you might think of like Graphql or GraphQL Playground or something like that. But so it's essentially the same thing as that, GraphQL IDE, but it has a lot of other really cool features that are super useful. And you can work with this with local graphs, right? Just because it's like on Studio doesn't mean that you have to like have some graph connected to Studio. You can point local host URLs at it and all that fun jazz. So that's just for anybody who might not be familiar. But yeah, is there any, is that something that might continue to happen? What do you think? Because that seems like a really cool feature.
Yeah. Short answer is we're that's something that we'd like to like to include in the near future. Yeah, have tighter integration between Odyssey and Studio, and Explorer, and in like an integrated Explorer is definitely a big part of that.
Yeah, I forgot that you could play sounds in here. That's amazing. Okay, so also something else that I forgot that you can do, which is awesome, and you can do memes. And Prince, this actually reminds me of so Prince did a stream, total derailment. Prince did a stream recently where he is connecting things like, which I want to do, like Twitch points into, that was a good one, right? Into like being able to like change lights and stuff like that, in his room. So I'm super excited for that. So we only have a couple sounds thelled right now. It's like bop. Bop's not working. Whoosh.
Whoosh.
Zap. I could have swore we had bop, but yeah. All right. So sorry, derailment. But yeah, is there anything else?
Honk as well.
Oh yeah, honk. That was the one.
But
it's not working.
Yeah, the question of future things that we're looking forward to.
Yeah, so more of like an architecture side.
Ooh, yeah.
Having that tighter connection with your Apollo account, and then from more of like a user-facing side, like something a little bit more visible. We're working on like having some sort of user dashboard. You can see like your track your progress, your courses, have like just a better view of the lessons that you're working on, what you're learning.
Awesome. So like a dashboard for like you can go and see like everything that's going on. That's really cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it also like there's that kind of opens up lots of possibilities for kind of like organization sponsored trainings. If you as the team lead for an engineering team want to get your team spun up on GraphQL, you can tell them, hey, you guys need to take this course, and you can actually see how members of your organization have progressed through their so that's like some future looking stuff.
That's cool.
In the near term though, there's I think the biggest source of improvement that you'll see as the GraphQL community or as learners using the platform is so one of the biggest things that one of the biggest features that everybody wants is liftoff part 2.
Yeah.
They don't people like clamoring for us to develop new features. they want that part 2, man. So so that's I think going to be the most impactful piece of the whole puzzle is just more content. Already since we launched, we've made a number of updates to Liftoff Part 1 in response to your feedback. Michelle posted a message in chat a little while ago, just mentioning how grateful we are for your feedback. When you use the course, we would love if you filled out the survey at the end of the course, so we can learn how we can improve, or if you get stuck anywhere along the way, there's links to give us feedback or get in touch with us directly over Discord. So that's my request.
Yeah. Seriously, yeah, that feedback is imperative. And as Michelle said, every survey gets read. Every single one gets read. Your input is super valuable to us to continue to provide quality education materials around GraphQL and Apollo. And I'm excited to see all the awesome things that come out of this. So again, amazing job to y'all. I'm going to give you one more round of applause here. Just like fantastic work, y'all. Couldn't be happier with the outcome of this, and so proud to be on a team with y'all. This is amazing. And for anyone who might be joining a little late, again, you can find Odyssey here at odyssey.apollographql.com. So please go check it out. Take this course. We'd love to get your feedback. We hope that you enjoy it. And with that, I think like we can wrap up. This seems like a good point to get on out of here. What do y'all say? Should we make like a tree and get out? That's what trees do, right?
I think so.
Yeah. All right, cool. All right, well, with that, y'all, we're going to hit the road. We hope you enjoyed the stream. Thank you again for joining us. And one last time, thank you all for coming on the stream and showing off this awesome thing that you have created. And yeah, with that, we will see you all later. Bye, everyone.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.